BTL, coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, it is Classic Week 2019. It is here. A ton to talk about. And today, our 9th year of doing, for entertainment purposes only, the Bassmaster Classic Odds Show.
Well, if the upcoming Classic and our odd show is half as good as the drama that went down on Lake Seminole this past week in the FLW Tour, then we are in for a good week.
In a pouring rainstorm. I mean, it was raining pretty hard.
Brian Latimer,
yeah,
a very well-liked pro, very active on YouTube and social media, been grinding a long time, fished pretty much every BFL there's ever been in his neck of the woods for the last 8 years, gets the win on Seminole, very emotional, had his 2 children and wife up on stage, gets the $100,000, gets the trophy, which he made it very clear that it was all about the trophy for him.
He liked the hardware.
Gets his first. Let me look at my phone. You know, you can judge a lot, Mark, and I've said this before, based on when there is a guy who wins, who sticks around to congratulate him,
yeah,
who comments on his social media,
yeah,
and how many people repost what he posted. So let me just run this by you. Let me see if I can find it right now. Brian Latimer's Instagram, he posted, he said, just won a giant trophy with a side of $100,000. 2,458 comments and 15,000 likes. And every single person reposting it, talking about how much he earned it, how much he deserved it. So
yeah,
a feel-good victory.
He's paid his dues,
the
man.
Third FLW Tour stop of the year. And it's also ironic, here I have the winter edition of the FLW magazine that I'm holding in my hand. It says Brian Latimer breaks down pro-level finesse, talking about how you got to mix a spinning rod into a bunch of different situations and circumstances. Yeah, he flipped some. Yeah, he threw a chatterbait some.
Yeah.
But he also caught some key fish, pro-level finesse on the spinning rod, so
yeah,
could not have been a timelier victory either heading into Classic Week.
You know, it'll be really interesting to see what happens from a building of a career standpoint with this win. Is this the step that he needed to really make happen to make things even better for him? Obviously, from a financial perspective, a tremendous input on the amount of money that he won there. And you know, Matthew, I talk about it all the time. I mean, when it really boils down to it, that's what it's all about. It's how much money you make. That's your job. Your job is to make money. And hopefully he will continue to build upon the success that he had this past week. And, this was, and we're going to get to the odds and get to the Classic and all that, but I want to point out one thing. FLW had the stage to themselves the entire week, pretty much. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of Classic buildup. You had practice going on, but really the entire, fan fishing world
focused on Seminole.
Yeah. And I think that solidifies my point that I've said for years, that everybody wins when everybody has their own platform, that we don't have the on top of each other situations taking place.
Mm-hmm. You had some great drama there with Sheldon Collins catch a Giants on back-to-back
and
cast.
My phone was blowing up a little bit.
If you are new to BTL, you don't know, last year, Sheldon Collins, a 20-year-old rookie on the FLW Tour last year from Grove, Oklahoma, basically decided not to go to college and left high school early to pursue a career in professional fishing, and had a series of near misses last year. He did qualify for the Cup, I believe, through the Costas, but a series of near misses, and I was calling it a successful season. Jeffries was not calling it a successful season, but if it all led up to a top 3 in the tour, he's got some money in his pocket and some valuable Angler of the Year points to the Cup.
My phone was blowing up, and here's what I'm going to say about this, and we have plenty of time today, so folks, just hold tight. The odds are coming, but I need to say this because he was in position to win. He really was. I mean,
Heck, the estimated weight had him at like 25 pounds. It looked like
it's
he was
a little
going to
bit
blow it.
higher.
Oh, yeah, he weighed in 20.
Yeah. But I was thinking, I was driving back. I had to go to Grand Lake this weekend, and I was driving back, and it hit me because my phone was blowing up about what he was doing and all that. And I was like, man, that would be cool if he won. It really would be. But at the same time, this is the comparison I'm going to make, Matthew. For those people that have listened and watched this show, hopefully, I think it's quite obvious that I talk about basketball a lot. In professional sports, I'm going to throw out two names. Zion Williams, all right? Williamson.
Yeah.
All right. And Bryce Harper.
Okay.
Those are two guys in their sports that when they were the age of 15, everybody was saying these guys are going to be one of the greatest players in their sport
Bryce
of all
Harper
time.
on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 16.
Yeah. I mean, Bryce Harper hit a home run in, I believe it was Houston, that was almost 600 feet when he was 16 years old.
It's a long way to hit a
Right?
ball.
Zion Williamson, I mean, YouTube sensation. He's 6'8", 280 pounds.
Duncan in grade school.
The likelihood that these guys are going to make it at the professional level and make a lot of money when they were in high school, what would you put that at, Matthew?
Those two?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of but pretty high.
Pretty high.
Yeah.
All right. I watched a flashback of Bryce Harper when he was 16 that was on ESPN this weekend also. They predicted he was going to make millions. Now he signs 13 years, $330 million. Zion Williamson, they're already talking about that he forget about the salary cap. Yeah, there are some salary cap issues that exist in the NBA, but he's going to make $1 zillion. Zillion for Zion, basically. The situation with fishing is totally different. I have no problem, and I truly believe that if there are professional athletes out there in the four major sports, that if you want to turn professional when you're 18 years old, go ahead. I think the one and done is stupid. I think in baseball, you have to play 2 years. You can get drafted your junior year, and then you're gone.
A lot of guys in hockey, 18, 19, when they meet the NHL, go play for the OHL, the WHL for a year or two. When they're 15, 16, they know they're going to be a high draft pick, and then the big club picks them up, 18 years old.
A long way to the premise that I'm trying to get to is in other professional sports, it's totally different. You think Zion Williamson is concerned about his degree?
I don't know. He could
You
be
think Bryce Harper was ever concerned about getting a degree?
I don't know.
Hell, he didn't even graduate high school. He took the GED so he could go play at a junior college.
I see where you're going with this as far as the
guaranteed income based upon where their skill level is. You cannot factually tell me that somebody that decides to take the GED in high school and decides to go out and fish on any of the pro tours, that there's going to be guaranteed revenue there.
100%, unless for some reason, which has never happened, an unproven guy signs $1 million deal heading
which
into
has never happened.
No, but I understand what you're saying. The risk-reward factor is much higher in something like bass fishing, where you really can't quantify talent and extrapolate it into the future, whereas you can in the stick and ball sports. So you're taking a much greater risk without as much background as you would.
I mean, when these guys are 16, they're talking about first-round draft picks, maybe even the number one pick. So for somebody not to get a college degree that wants to pursue professional fishing, I think it is just depending a wrong decision.
Depending on how much value you put on advanced education like that. There could be different levels. A lot of the guys we have on the show that are multi-millionaires
but
do
it's
not have
different.
college degrees.
And I know the example that you're going to throw out there. Dude, this is a day and age that is totally different.
I understand. He took a big risk, Sheldon did, and it appears to be paying off. He's 22nd in the FLW
do I
Tour
want the kid to fail? No. I want him to be successful.
Earnings this year. So,
but that is a rarity of which success, and once again, we're not even going to get into the conversation of what success is defined as, but I was pulling for the guy. I hope he does well.
Is having a heck of a year, who we just had on, who caught him again.
Who's that?
Miles.
Yeah.
He jumped up into the top 5.
Yeah.
Terry Bolton leading the way. Another cut made for him. He has a 11-point lead over Scott Martin in the Angler of the Year race, and I don't know what was more. I don't want to. It's not impressive, but Latimer's win. It was the headline news on day 2 when I believe was Bradford Beavers winning after day 2. I think anyway. The subtitle was Thrift's consecutive limit streak comes to an end. 71, 72.
Yep.
That's insane, Mark. Do you know how many days that is catching 5 fish?
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, look back at
I'm with you, man.
Even Wednesday nighters 3 fish limits.
I'm with you.
Mean, I've had one, and I remember I was like, I think I've caught a limit in 9 consecutive days of the Bass Nation at one point. Across probably 5 or 6 different lakes and throwing a regional in there, and I was damn proud of it.
Yeah.
Now put that at the tour level. Look at all the fisheries that they have. Thrift. I was thinking, that we've seen streaks before hit 30s, 40s, 71 days in a row, Mark. How does that compare to like a DiMaggio or something like that in other sports?
It's pretty insane.
Will we see? I mean, you're going to have less and less anglers with a chance because now with the MLF format, there is no such thing as a limit.
Yeah.
But a 5-fish limit, do you think that will ever be that streak will ever be reached by anyone else? Look at all the variables and the factors and the new talent that's coming into the sport. Now, that doesn't keep you from catching a limit, but I'm just saying that's maybe an untouchable record.
Might be, man.
I mean, there's a razor fine line. I mean, you remember Van Dam, his streak was broken there at the Mississippi River years ago. You get flood conditions, you hit a tough, you hit something with a virus, something goes wrong with your boat.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many factors for that many days in a row to come in with a limit. And I was thinking about this on the way here. I don't know if that streak will ever be touched.
I'm with you, man.
And he only had one. He had a 2-pounder on day 2. What a loser.
Did you pick him?
Yeah, he was my pick.
Wow. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping, then we're going to take a break and come back and jump right into the odds. And then also Matt has his annual prop bets. And once again, folks, this is for entertainment purposes only. Hooky the Bookie is entertaining you, and these odds are based strictly upon that if there was a betting line, this is what Hooky the Bookie would set the betting odds at. So based upon their research and knowledge, and I did a lot of work on these this year, dude.
Yeah, I noticed it's an Excel spreadsheet.
A lot of work. All right,
odds are 100 to 1 and all the way down to 1 to 1.
Yeah. I do want to mention tomorrow we're going to have Bradley Hallman. It's going to be in studio breaking down a bizarre 2 days for him.
On 7th.
I don't know if you've talked to him.
No, he had 5 pounds on the first day. Things did not look good, and then he came back and busted a big bag and cut a check.
Very, very bizarre day 2.
Came back and got a check.
What he was telling me went down on day 2. Can't wait to talk about it on the show tomorrow.
And also he, although is Boomer Sooner through and through, also from Tennessee.
Yes. So
there's a tournament going on.
Absolutely. We are also working on trying to get Brian Latimer on the show tomorrow. Very, very, very busy.
Good luck getting a hold of him.
Hey, man, our good friend Joe over at FLW, he's really trying to help us out. But with that victory and everything else going on, Joe is really trying to help us out to get him on the show tomorrow. So hopefully that will happen. But if that does not happen, we will have Bradley on the show in studio tomorrow breaking down Seminole. And then on Wednesday, our first best of. We haven't done a best of all year long, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are off to the Classic. Thursday is media day. Wednesday, their last day of practice. And then the thing gets underway Friday. We will be traveling on Monday. Then we will do our first show back from the Classic on Tuesday. I will be in studio. You will be on location at Guntersville. So that's going to be I'm going to Skype you in. We'll Skype you in.
I'm ready to get on the road, Mark.
Yeah, are you?
I am.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, you did that little jaunt down to Conroe.
Yeah, that was just like 2-3 days. Yeah, it's been...
You're going to be on the road for quite some time.
I'm ready for sunshine. I'm ready for shorts. I'm ready to start fishing.
I'm with you.
It's been a long winter.
All right, we're going to take a break. Jump right into the odds. Everybody, this is the 9th annual Bassmaster Classic, odd show. We'll be right back. Everybody stay tuned.
It's known for big fish. Don't freak out. No, I'm Swindle. How you miss it, dog? Oh, good God. I'm always feeding in the morning. I don't know why they ain't.
Sleek new design with easy control file. The clearest images underwater with uncompromising range. Live mapping from the touchscreen. View notifications, video, even Google Maps on screen. And for the first time ever, real-time view of fish movements with live sight sonar. HDS Live. New from Lowrance.
It's about the hours spent getting everything just right. It's the attention to detail. Good just isn't good enough. It's the years spent on the water day after day. When you tie on a bait by Strike King, you're standing on the shoulders of legends.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
Hey guys, Aaron Martins here. I'm going to be telling you about a new product by Sunline. It's Siglon PE x8. I've been using it almost extensively all year for my frogging, flipping, drop shotting, shaky heading, worming, jerk baiting. It's by far my favorite Sunline braid. I honestly, I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly it's the best braid in the market of any of the braids. Definitely check it out. It's a price point line, $14.95 for 165 yards, and that could last you a whole year, just one spool with using leader material. It's Siglon PE x8. It's my favorite braid, and I think if you use it, it'll be your favorite braid too. AFCO has a new foul weather rain suit called the Hydronaut. A lot of the features that I really like about it first is the speed vent hood. If it's raining out, you know how a person gets wet is when you run down the lake and the hood comes down. With the speed vent hood, it's going to stay up. It has a camera mount in the pocket on the chest.
The Hydronaut has a 2-layer, 100% waterproof nylon shell. If you're interested in a rain suit that has a lot of cool features that's going to keep you dry, you need to check out the Hydronaut from AFCO.
All right, we are back, kicking off Classic Week here on BTL. And it is that time, Matthew.
You can get pissed off emails from family members of higher odds.
It happens every year, man. It does. I upset somebody. All right, first of all, I want to let everybody know I spent a lot of time yesterday talking to these guys after their final day of practice. And I think there's 3 important factors.
You would not tell me what these 3 factors were before the show, so
No.
I'm ready to hear what they are.
All right. And a lot of this went into basing the odds relating to these 3 factors. The number 1 factor, Matthew, is motivation. There are so many of these guys that have an agenda, that are motivated to win, motivated to do nothing but hoist that trophy on the final day amongst the confetti and walk off the stage and go, yeah, I did it. Motivation. Now, have you ever seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
No.
What?
Why would you ask if you were shocked? No, I haven't.
You've never seen that iconic movie?
Nope.
With Spicoli?
No.
Okay, I know there's some people out there that are watching and listening that are going to be able to relate to this, right? In the movie, Spicoli and one of the star football players' brothers decides to take the star football player's Trans Am out and do a little cruising.
Okay.
All right? They end up wrecking the Trans Am, and, you know, they're all worried that his brother's going to kill him and blah, 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 blah. So they come up with this magnificent idea of placing the Trans Am in front of the high school, spray painted with vulgarities directed toward the Ridgemont High football team.
Okay.
All right? Which in turn, what do you think that the football player that owned the Trans Am felt like after he felt and thought that the team that they were playing did this to his Trans Am?
He was probably highly motivated.
He was highly motivated and absolutely destroyed people on the football field.
Okay.
Brilliant idea. But he was motivated because of a situation that he thought occurred even though it didn't occur.
Okay.
All right? So I think there are a lot of guys in this field this year that are motivated to win to prove a point.
Okay.
All right? Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I think that the Bassmaster Classic always brings out the highest level of motivation in anglers regardless of any year, but this
is different. This year is different.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
All right? It's different, and you know why it's different, and everybody out there knows why it's different.
Because the guys who have won to win the last one, and the guys who haven't won one want to win one because it is their last one.
Yeah. Of which we don't know. Maybe some of those guys, maybe this is not going to be their final Bassmaster Classic, but it kind of looks that way. Would you agree with that?
They're preparing for it as if it is.
Major motivation. All right, the second one. All indications are, based upon the guys that I spoke with yesterday, what has been happening during their official practice period probably isn't going to be exactly what's going to take place once Friday arrives.
Okay.
The water levels, the water clarity, the fluctuation in what's taking place. There are areas that have cleaner water. There are areas that are typically cleaner but are murky. And there are going to be so many guys that are going to have to adjust on the fly.
Okay.
I mean, we mention this quite a bit, but I get a really, really good indication that what somebody has found during their practice may not be the ticket once Friday rolls around. The ability to adjust from day one to day two and then put what you're doing on day one and day two is really going to determine what happens on the final day.
A Randy Howell move on the final day of the Guntersville Classic when he went to the bridge where the fish hadn't been. They actually moved up because of the changing conditions that occurred over the week of practice, and bam, 28 pounds over something that he hadn't fished the first 2 days.
All right. The third thing is the pressure of the moment. Now, we kind of got into a little discussion before the show that you said, guys can handle pressure. You know, guys have been in pressure situations before. When you go through and you look at the field, there is an attribute of a tremendous amount of experience with a small group of guys out of 52. You have a lot of first-timers this year. And you have a lot of guys that, yes, they may have been in pressure situations before, but they haven't been in this pressure situation. Agree or disagree?
I agree, but I agree.
Right? It's different. And I think with everything that has happened in the game and the influence of only 12 anglers currently are on the Elite Series that are participating in the Classic, there's motivation. All right? Experience. That kind of ties into that experience thing.
Yeah. And of those, only 7 of them fished on the Elite Series in 2018 in Drew Benton, Brandon Lester, Chris Zaldane, Cliff Perch, Micah Frazier, and Seth Fighter.
What's funny is, dude, you sound like you're like a old 1970s FM DJ on classic rock.
Sorry, I'll pep it up a little bit for you for the remainder of the show.
Classic rock.
You know, Mark, there's only 7 guys that have fished in this last year as on the Elite Series. Seth Fighter.
It's just that nice FM tucked away at 1 a.m. in the morning playing the Rolling Stones. That's kind of what you're
Get to your odds, Mark. We've got motivation, number 1.
Yes.
We've got changing conditions.
Ability to adjust.
Number 2.
And pressure.
And the
pressure
handling the pressure of the moment.
Experience. So not professional experience. I'm talking about feeling the pressure in the Classic.
Yeah, that internal feeling. So those are the three things that you based your odds, some of the factors that went into.
3 main factors.
Obviously experience, past history, that stuff too.
All right, so here we go. And some of the guys will spend a little bit more time on others. We're going to start from the highest odds down to the odds-on favorite. Now, once again, folks, these odds are based upon if there was a betting line. This is what the line would be set at.
Which there is not.
Which there is not. This is for
that we're aware of. I haven't even heard of any black market betting odds.
There might be something offshore. I think one year somebody sent me an email that there was something offshore somewhere. I remember that. Now, what it was and where it was, I don't know. Maybe some of our listeners and people watching might.
Did you have to put your place your bet in Bitcoin?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. All right, here we go. At 100-1, Matthew Robertson. Sorry. He is the team qualifier. First Classic. He's from South Carolina. This dude has no Bass or FLW history. He's at 100-1.
He wears a hat that says on him, and he seemed highly motivated, so I might put some money on that.
Okay. All right. Next up, Garrett Paquette.
Yeah, there's some new guys in the Classic this year.
Woo. All right. First Classic. He's on the Elite Series. Not off to a good start. He finished 116th at the Harris Chain, finished 69th in the Open, 116th in the Harris Chain Open, 69th at the SJR. Had a decent finish at Lanier, finished 34th. I'm not buying what he's selling. 75-1. All right, next
you
up.
You are not making any friggin' I'm not going to make any friends as you go through this list.
But, you go
You're
through.
You're just talking about it.
You go through
totally even. Yeah, I hear you.
You go through the first, 12 of them.
Yeah.
And it's all their first Classic.
Yep. Okay. So you have 3 at 75-1. So you have Paquette, and then you also have Frank Talley and Nick Ratliff, the college kid.
Yeah. Talley, first Classic, once again, finished 44th at the SJR, 70th at Lanier. He's only fished 7 Bass events his entire career. If you want a long shot, throw some money out there, 75-1. Nick Ratliff, first Classic. He's from Kentucky. He finished 128th at the Harris Chain in the Open. He's fishing the Opens this year. 61st at Toledo Bend. I know he's the college guy, dude. I'm just, once again, I'm not convinced a major long shot at 75-1. Moving on. Drew Benton. Now, I put this number up so high, and I say this a lot on this show when we do the odd show, is I'm looking for some action. Drew Benton, current Elite Series guy, he finished 54th in the points last year. The only way that he got in was why?
He won Texas Fest.
He won Texas Fest, all right? Did not have a great season. You can't really compare it, but a body of water that was close by. He finished 92nd at the Cherokee event at 2017.
Then why did you try to compare it?
Well, it's kind of in that vicinity. I know it's not the same kind of fishing, but I just cannot see him being in the mix on Sunday.
The guy's won multiple at the FLW Tour and the Elite Series level, has a lot of top 10s under his belt compared to some of the guys that
to put a lot of money on, Matthew.
The guys that you have underneath, he's a proven winner.
All right, I got him at 60-1.
Okay.
The next one, the gentleman from the Bass Nation from Italy, he actually has fished. We're talking about, I don't know, dude. What is it? Galini? Is that how you say it?
Sure.
How about his first name? Jacopo?
Sure.
Am I wrong? I mean,
no, that looks good. I mean,
right.
he's the first Italian to fish the Classic. Right?
He has fished 5 Bass events, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he finished 33rd in 2014 at Lake Norman. Did not get off to a great start in the Opens, fishing the Central Opens. Finished 178th at Toledo Bend. He's a long shot, man. 60-1. Next one might surprise a few people. Another gentleman that you could throw some money out there on as a long shot. Adrian Avina finished 48th in the point standings. And, you know, I tried to take a look at some of his river performances over his career. If it doesn't involve smallmouth, Struggles.
Okay.
A lot.
It might involve smallmouth this year.
It might, but they got to be 18 inches.
Well, I mean, if you're going to win the Classic, you need some quality fish. So that.
All right. And here's the other thing. The people that I spoke with yesterday said if you are solely king on smallmouth, you're not going to win. 12 of 12 people said that.
Okay.
All right. Here's the other thing. Most of the guys said if you catch a smallmouth, it's just because you kind of stumbled across one.
Okay.
All right. He's a smallmouth guy. Would you agree with that?
Right. He's also obviously nicknamed the Jersey Boy. We know that there are some tough, fluctuating rivers in that neck of the woods that tend to get muddy that he obviously will have some experience on. So navigating the Tennessee River is probably not uncomfortable to him.
I agree. All right. I still got him at 50-1.
All right. And then you've got 3
others at 50-1.
Yeah, 3 others at 50-1 in Brad Watley, Hudnall, and Randy Pearson. Any highlights you want to go to over
I mean,
them?
Watley's from Texas.
Yep.
He's fished 17 Bass events. He finished 27th at the SJR, 21st at Lanier, so not a bad start to his Elite Series.
You have a Bass Nation qualifier in Kyle Dorsett at 50-1, and then I believe in your standings, this is our second returning Elite Series angler. Obviously, Drew Benton is also fishing, but Rookie of the Year 2018 Carolina guy Jake Whitaker at 30-1.
He's really green. 17 Bass events. He finished 50th at the SJR, 64th at Lanier. Hasn't really had a good season. Just, you know, if you want to throw some money down at 30-1, probably a good thing.
Now we're getting into the group of guys, I would say, you know, starting at 15-1 down to like 8-1.
Yeah.
Where you could really kind of stack them up where I think you really went more off of the 3 factors of motivation, changing conditions, and pressure of the moment to kind of pick out where they landed. So,
by the way, I want to let everybody know there's a post on the instant feedback. All of this information is going to be available on the Bass Zone website. It will be underneath where the video replay is going to be for this show. So this information will be out there for everybody to look
15 to 1. There are 1, 2, 3 anglers at 15 to 1.
Yep. Gerald Spohr, his breakout season was in 2018. He lit it up.
He's been catching them for the past year.
He really has.
Like a lot. All over.
All right. But before that, horrible.
I say horrible. He's getting his feet on the ground.
Call it paying his dues.
He paid his dues.
He paid his dues. He struggled, but I'll give it up to him. 2018 was his breakout season. I still got him at 15 to 1.
Carried it into this year too.
Yeah. Alton Jones Jr. 15 to 1. He's got 1 previous classic. He finished 39th in his home state. Just can't see much on that. Next up, Keith Poche. He finished 3rd at the Red River, and this is a pick that I am looking for some action. Hookie the Bookie wants some action on this at 15 to 1. Yes, it's been a while since he's had success. His cash ratio per tournament is one of the lowest on tour.
You can throw that out the window, though.
Doesn't really matter. And the reason that I say that, Matthew, is because this is a different attitude going into it, because it doesn't matter where you finish. You either win or you don't. All right, kind of the Ricky Bobby thing. Next up at 12 to 1, I have Brandon Lester.
He would probably be in most people's top 5, Mark.
Yeah. All right. He finished 51 in the points. His best finish in the Classic has been 19th in 2015 at Hartwell. He finished 12th at the SJR, 44th at Lanier. Just the feedback that I'm getting from people and the way things are setting up, I'm looking for some action on Lester at 12 to 1. I think that if you want somebody that has really, really good odds, that has an opportunity to really kind of fit into what's taking place with so much water levels that are changing all the time and flow, maybe. But historically, I just don't know, dude.
I think you're going to lose some money on that one, Mark.
All right, next up, Brent Chapman, 11 to 1. Interesting stat about Chapman. He's been in 13 previous Classics, but his last one was in 2014, dude.
Wow.
He's kind of struggled.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, his last Classic, 2014 at Gville. Remember, he won Angler of the Year in what year?
2012.
2012.
I believe.
Yeah, he has 2 top place finishes, but that was back
top
in 2000. What'd I say?
Place. You said top place finishes.
Top 5. I'm sorry. And then he finished 5th in 2010 and 2011. He kind of fits the mold based upon his experience. He's been to 13 previous Classics, that he might have that game. All right. We know that he can handle the pressure. He might possess that ability to adjust on the fly based upon what he found in practice and what he is going to find once he gets into Friday. Next up, Jesse Wiggins, 2 previous Classics. His best finish, 33rd at Conroe. He finished 46th at Hartwell. I think it's just kind of an experience thing.
Alabama guy fishes the Alabama River a lot.
But that's different, dude. It's different.
Okay.
Very different.
3 at 10 to 1 then, and then we get into the single digits, but this is a heck of a trio at in 19, 20, and 21st as far as the odds go, with Chris Lane, Roy Hawk, and Randall Tharp.
Yep. All right, Chris Lane, 6 previous Classics. Obviously, he won in 2012 at the Red River. This is his first Classic since 2016. He has not really been fishing that well. Pressure, not going to bother him. Ability to adjust on the fly, sometimes stubborn. Sometimes he sticks with certain things and certain patterns way too long. All right?
What you got to do to win the Classic sometimes.
Sticks with it. All right? And then motivation, I think he's highly motivated for different reasons, because I think he has something to prove because a lot of people out there look at him at, what he did on the Red River, and he's really kind of struggled since then. So I think his motivation is somewhat different.
In the Classic.
In the Classic, yeah. Next up, Roy Hawk.
That'd be kind of a cool one.
You think so?
To see Roy.
First Classic.
I could see him just going out and just kind of giggling and
now,
being like, I don't know what happened.
Here's one of the factors based upon my research. There were actually a string of FLW events on Fort Loudon Tellico in the early, I don't know, it was kind of late 2000s, 2007, 2008, and 2010. He did fish that. He fished the one that was in 2010. The only thing is the 2010 event was in the month of April. So it was probably a little different. There was only one event, I believe it was 2008, that took place in the month of March. And then I think 2007, I've got my notes here, was actually in June, and it's totally different. But the fact of the matter is, yes, he has some experience on the body of water. I got him at 10-1. Randall Tharp. This is an action pick. I'm looking for some action on this. I think a lot of people are going to pick Tharp. I think a lot of people think that he's going to perform well at this event. 4 previous classics. Best finish, 5th at Lake Guntersville back in 2014. Kind of a grinder, I don't know, dude. I just think 10-1 is the right place to be. If people are committed to that pick, they're gonna put a little money on that action on 10-1.
All right, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 anglers at 9-1 with Chris Zaldane, Andy Montgomery, Cliff Perch, and Micah Frazier. 3 of the 4 of those anglers, and Zaldane, Cliff Perch, and Micah Frazier, our returning Elite Series anglers competing on the 2019 Elite Series. Andy Montgomery, as we know, based on his 9-pound, 4-ounce catch at Lake Conroe, is on the Bass Pro Tour.
Yeah, all right. Zaldane, a lot of hype with Z. I think he's got something to prove, dude. His classic performances have not been that great. He didn't fish the Classic in 2018. His best finish was 23rd at Lake Conroe. This year so far, 36 at the SJR, a fantastic second place finish at Lanier. You talk about momentum and you talk about drive. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, dude. I really do. I think expectations for a lot of people with what Zaldane does at this year's Classic, there is a lot of pressure on him. I know what you said. He handles pressure. This is a different type of pressure, but I think 9-1 is a good spot for him to get some action.
I think he's right where he wants to be, Mark. I think we're going to see him on the top 5, in the top 5.
All right, we'll see, man. Next up, Andy Montgomery, 3 previous Classics. His best finish, 36th on the Delta. He has some experience on this body of water. By the way, 2010 was April for that event that FLW had. He finished 107th back in 2007, but he finished, let's see here, finished 7th in 2008, and then he had a 24th in April. So this is a guy that has a little bit of experience from a tournament standpoint. I think 9-1 is a good spot for him to be in.
Okay.
All right. Clifford Perch, 5 previous Classics, 5 in a row, dude. I mean, 5 consecutive Classics. This guy, I think, is overlooked by a lot of people simply
coming off a great tournament in Florida.
Yeah, simply because he's from Arizona. He's the West Coast guy. Everybody knows that fishes the U.S. Open, that he has mastered that event, winning it 3 times, almost 4. This guy is a stick, right? His best finish, 13th at Hartwell. He had 2 13th-place finishes at Hartwell. The guy likes Hartwell. 13th in 2018, 13th in 2015. I got him at 9-1.
Okay.
Micah Frazier, 2 previous Classics, 14th at Hartwell back in 2018, and then 14th at Grand Lake back in 2016. Now, I want to say this. With some of the guys that I spoke with yesterday, Matthew, some of them actually said that there are areas of this body of water that compare to the upper end of Grand Lake.
The Elk Neosho River area.
Especially when you have that massive flow from the rains and the GRDA is massively pulling the water out. there are a lot of similarities with what takes place in the Neosho and the elk that is taking place on the body of water that they're fishing this week. So
Interesting.
might be a good pick there at 9-1.
All right, next three down to 8-1 with Jared Lintner.
All right, here's an interesting stat about Lintner. Did you realize that he has earned on bass over $1 million?
No.
That is probably the quietest $1 million
Outside
man.
of Bill Lone.
Yeah. I had no idea until I was doing a lot of research. His best finish, he finished 9th at Conroe. Has fished well over the last 2 years. I think pressure, this is one dude, pressure does not bother this guy at any level. Classic, MLF, the Elite Series, FL, it doesn't matter. Pressure does not get to this guy.
Calm, cool, and collected.
Very, very cool. I think that if you want to put some money on somebody that has decent odds, this might be the guy. All right, next up, Dean Rojas. 15 previous Classics. He missed the Classic for the first time in a long time back in 2018. Of that streak, all right, he had a 9 event consecutive streak of making the Classic, and then 3 out of the last 5, he had top 17 finishes. His best finish was 2015 back at Hartwell. He finished 4th, and then back in 2004, he finished 4th also at that event. I don't think I did talk to Dean. Dean is, he's confident, but there are several things that are taking place on the water in different areas of where they're allowed to fish that is going to make adjusting on the fly a huge, huge asset.
Number 2 on your 3 list or 3 factors that you're putting in coming into this list.
I don't think pressure gets to Dean, and the experience, this is going to be his 16th Classic.
He's gone into the Classic, I believe, twice leading it to the final day.
Yeah.
Hartwell, one of them.
Yeah. And I think he's kind of underrated a little bit at what the conditions are like on this body of water this week. A lot of nooks and crannies and current and things like that. So I think that's a good place for Rojas. Next up at 8-1, Seth Feider. His first Classic, dude. No. He's got one previous Classic.
Yeah, he's got a preview. He fished in Hartwell, didn't he?
Yeah. He finished 18th at Hartwell. That's right. And I took a look at some kind of fluctuating waters and tried to see what his finishes were at those bodies of water. He finished 99th at Winyah Bay. He finished 73rd at Wheeler. He finished 85th at the Potomac.
Not a big fan of the title system.
No. And with the fluctuation that's taking place on here, I don't know, dude. Plus, I think there's a lot of hype on him, too.
You have to remember that it wasn't very long ago that we were saying, man, if Seth can figure it out below up north, the guy would be unstoppable. And then the last couple seasons he actually has, where he's gone on a nice check cashing streak of tournaments that aren't quote unquote his wheelhouse. So he is still in the evolution of becoming a fully well-rounded angler, but he's put in a lot of time.
I agree.
And worked hard and gotten very proficient at a number of different types of fishing.
I just don't think, based upon his history, the fluctuation that's taking place in the waters and current.
You think he's going to chase the smallmouth?
I don't know, man. I really don't know, because like I said, the people that I spoke with, that's not the ticket.
Well, that could be there could be an unexploited bite there then. If everybody's saying it's not the ticket, there's got to be someone that could go out there and say, I got them all to myself.
By the way, he is the best odds that I have for the current Elite Series anglers that are fishing the Classic.
8-1.
8-1.
Everyone's 8-1. All right, now we're getting into the interesting picks. You have a slew of anglers at 7-1, with 6 of them coming in, and probably, as always, the sentimental fan favorite in the Classic, outside of an angler who's finished second 4 times, would be your first 7-1.
Yeah, Gerald Swindle. He got in through the bracket. Didn't have a great year, but it's going to be his 18th Classic. Since his 3rd place finish in Pittsburgh, his best finish was last year at Hartwell. He finished 10th. See that number one thing that I mentioned, motivation? You look at the three things. I think this is, if you are really looking for a pretty good bet.
Fits his style with the changing condition, the kind of junk fishing. You've got numerous different things from the river to the two lakes to the different species to the muddy water. He's not afraid to adjust and leave it all out there.
All right, next up, Josh Bertrand, his 4th Classic this year. Last year, great season, finished 2nd in the points. His best finish at the Classic, 28th at Hartwell. He's struggling a little bit, dude. All right? Got dialed in, then struggled, then got dialed in, and then is kind of perplexed.
We'll see how he does here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So, kind of a hodgepodge.
This next guy is he's getting his due now, but incredibly solid. He actually had a limit streak that came to an end over on Bass. I don't want to quote it. I think it might have been like 50 days.
Yeah.
And still in his 20s, still really young, but has been on the Elite Series since the 2010 season?
When he was 18. Right?
Yeah, when they went to California.
Yeah.
So a veteran, knows what it's like to be in the mix on the final day of the Classic. We watched him on live on Lake Conroe.
Yeah.
Bradley Roy.
All right, next up,
BP.
Brandon Polinick.
7-1.
All right, a little bit of inside info. I did speak with him. He said things are kind of spread out right now. He said the fish are not really congregated. It's kind of hit and miss. He was him and another, few guys said that if you specifically pattern smallmouth, you're probably not going to win. Visibility, in certain areas of the water, it is really, really, really muddy. And some of the areas that historically have been clearer are stained and even worse than stained. But he really thought that wasn't going to really hamper his ability to catch fish. Which one is better, the cleaner water or the dirty water? And he felt pretty confident that he could catch fish in both.
Okay.
So feeling pretty good, man.
James Elam, another young angler with a lot of... These guys come on, and then all of a sudden you look at their stats about 5 years later, and you realize they've been in some pressure cookers.
Yeah, and I'm going to read you a quote that he told me last night. He said, "There's a lot of stuff going on with the water." Now, let's throw it back to the statement that I made earlier.
Sure that wasn't the mayor of Flint, Michigan?
It could be. Could be the identical quote, man. Very nice. But let's go back to the statement that I made about the Neosho and the elk on his home body of water. And, maybe he could figure something out. He's kind of, what did he call it? Lukewarm. He's looking forward. He was one of the few guys that said, "I'm really, really looking forward to Wednesday."
The last kind of ride around official practice day that these guys have.
Yeah.
That what they do is they'll practice 3 days or 4 days? 3 days. And then they have time off. They do the media stuff. They do media day, and then they do TV and all that stuff, and then they practice on Wednesday. They do a run through where they do the classic takeoff. They have to be back at a specific time. They go out. It's basically a dry run where they get a chance to practice, and then they come back in. So it's not a really full day.
He's another guy that said, "Man, the fish are just all over the place. They're scattered everywhere."
All right, and then Brett Height rounding out the 7-1s.
This is going to be his 6th Classic. No Classic in 2018. Finished 163rd back in 2008 on an FLW event on Tellico Loudon. He finished 40th in 2007, and he finished 26th in 2010.
Trending upwards.
So we'll see about that. Do you think the chatterbait's going to come into play?
Oh, it always comes into play.
Absolutely.
I think we might 100%. See every single tournament. We're going to see the Elite Series go up to the Lake Ontario and Thousand Islands area, and we'll probably win it on a chatterbait up there, the way things are going with that thing this year after the 3 tournaments that we've seen. It's been responsible for Bass Pro Tour wins, 2 of them. Latimer threw it, and on the Elite Series, guys were throwing it too.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's going to play.
All right, next up.
Now we're the 6-to-1s.
Yep.
You have 4 6-to-1s. I'll read off the names there.
Okay.
Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. Now we're 35 through 52 of Mark Jeffrey's 9th annual Classic odds. Justin Lucas, Jacob Perosnik, Jacob Wheeler, and Mark Daniels Jr. all check in at 6-to-1.
Pretty good action, pretty good odds there on 4 guys that are obviously very capable of winning this thing. Interesting on Perosnik. He also has history on this body of water, and you know what he was sporting during those events over on the FLW side? Let me say this first. He finished, in 2008, he finished 48th. In 2010, he finished 37th. And let's see here. He also has 2 top 5s in the Classic. But anyway, you know what he was wearing? It was a very, very cool photo.
What was he wearing?
The Snapple jersey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, and then next up we go to 5-to-1, man.
All right. You don't want to go through Wheeler, Mark Daniels
Well,
Jr.?
you know, here's the deal with Wheeler. When you
He's
look
won
at
everything.
He has. All right?
Except the Classic.
Now, a lot of people may not realize he moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, on Chickamauga.
Yeah.
Got a new baby.
Which is not that far. He's got a lot going on.
Does not finish outside of the top 12 in championship events. Just does not happen, Mark.
That's why he's at 6-to-1. This is going to be his 3rd Classic. He finished 7th at Hartwell and then 14th at Hartwell back in 2015. By the way, he won on Chick too back in 2014.
I feel like Mark Daniels Jr. might be a little bit of a heart pick for you, Mark. You've always been really high on him, and then he won. But I mean, you've got him right there with Angler of the Years.
Yeah.
You've got him ahead of a lot of guys who have accomplished more and fished in more classics.
Sometimes
he's fishing in.
Sometimes you go with your gut, and sometimes you go with a little kind of inside info.
Inside info on Mark Daniels Jr.
Yeah.
Do you speak with him, or do you speak with someone who spoke with him?
I spoke to somebody of which they would not say, what is that? A sources unknown?
Confidential source.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
All right, back down to the 5-to-1s. 3 anglers at 5-to-1. Bobby Lane, Todd Faircloth, and Cliff Pace. Is Cliff Pace checking in as the lowest ranked? Oh, no, you have Chris Lane. He's won a Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, here's an interesting stat on Cliff, and a lot of people may not realize this. 7 previous Classics. Obviously, he won in 2013 on Grand Lake. But 5 out of 6, he had top 15 finishes. And I was blown away when I saw that.
That's awesome.
This thing sets up for him golden. It really does.
A jig?
Yeah.
Slow?
Yeah. Ability to adjust.
He's caught him on the Mississippi River a couple times.
Always motivated. I think there's a little extra in there. I'm not wanting a whole lot of action on Cliff, so that's why I got him at 5-to-1.
Okay. And then Faircloth, always a factor, was 2nd in the Bassmaster Classic on Grand Lake in 2016 that Edwin won, actually fishing the river stretch up there at the mouth of the Grand in that, of the mouth of the Elk in that tournament.
Yeah. Going to be his 17th Classic. Interesting stat on Todd. He has 7 top 10s in the Bassmaster Classics that he's fished in. Always in the mix, dude.
Calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah. Next up.
Wow, here we go. 4-to-1.
Yep.
The man.
The initials.
4 Classic titles, looking to make it number 5 and surpass Rick Clunn.
Yeah, you can just check every single box on the 3 things that I said, dude. And I think it could be really, really emotional. I mean, most of the time we think of this guy, he's the GOAT. I think that final day on the stage, especially if he is in contention, you're going to see a lot of emotion out of KVD.
Kevin Van Dam. And if you look at how he has won his classics, he's won an extremely tough one in changing conditions.
Pittsburgh.
He has won one where he put himself in position to succeed on days 2 and 3, where a lot of anglers overlooked it. Actually, 2, if you remember what he did on the Delta on that flat where those fish moved in as the tournament went on, and what he did in the back of that creek at Lay Lake where those fish moved in while everybody else was fishing where they had been. He was fishing to where they were going. So as far as being able to predict what is going to happen days in advance on the biggest stage, he's the best.
Agreed, man. Agreed. 4-1. All right, next up we have Brent Ehrler. This is going to be his 4th classic. Listen to this. His 3 previous classics, a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 13th.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, and he's also got experience back in his FLW days, back in 2007 and 2008 on Tellico Fort Loudon, finished 15th and 37th. So experience. The dude is a stick. Dialed in. I think you check all the 3 boxes that I mentioned. That's why he's
tasted it.
Yeah.
You remember he thought he had, he was right there at Lake Hartwell. He thought he had the thing won, I think.
Yeah.
And then also what happened at Conroe.
Yeah.
Leading it. He has had some serious heartbreak in the Classic, so I'm sure that he would love to kind of exact revenge on that tournament.
I agree. All right, next up, Skeet Reese.
Still at 4-1.
This is going to be his 19th classic. He won back in 2009 on the Red River. Dude, I'm telling you, there are 2 guys in this field that number 1 box is
motivation.
Massive. Massive. He's one of them. All right, and I think that he's another guy that I think might get emotional on that.
Might. This will go in the prop bets as the over/under of number of anglers to cry on stage.
No, I didn't say cry. I said emotional. No, I didn't say that either.
Get choked up.
Yeah. Because once again, he's a guy that has had an enormous amount of success on the bass side.
Incredible legacy.
Yeah. And that legacy is moving on, and it has moved on. So you put a big X, big check mark in that first box, and plus, dude, I think his style and his game kind of fits into what's going on out there. A lot.
It wasn't easy when he won in 2009.
No,
and it was muddy.
Yeah. All right, next up, Amart. This is going to be his 20th classic.
Holy cow!
20th classic. The list of seconds, 2002, 2004, 2005, 2011, 7 of his last 11 classic appearances, he's had top 12s. There's nobody else that has a streak of performance like Amart.
And that's why he's at 3-1.
All right, but let me see some notes here real quick.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah. Here's an interesting fact about Amart that I never knew about him. Do you realize and do you know that he does 0 research on any event? Nothing.
No.
Yes.
No.
0.
He's that good.
Dude, I asked him 3 times. I go, okay, let me get this straight. You just told me that you do no research. Yeah. I never do. I think it makes me better when I don't do research. No research.
Just shows up.
How about that? Never knew that.
For how long? Is that like something new? Is that something?
No. I don't know how long, but it's not a decision that he just made yesterday. It's crazy. No research. All right. Let me see what other notes. He said, he's ran a zillion miles, burned a ton of gas during practice. There's lots of bait. He said there's pre-spawn. The flow is going to be really, really key. You got to be open-minded. And this is really key. He says you can't get stuck on just one thing. You can't. He said you're not going to win if you get stuck on just one thing. Also, he said the sun really helps a ton. Said sunshine is going to be a key to his game plan. And by the way, you had to throw in there, and I don't know, you might do some research on this. His daughter is a freshman in
high school stuff.
Yeah, and I guess they won a 157 boat event, and it was the first time that a female team won a high school event.
Well, there you go.
So he was he was pretty fired up about that.
Another classic winner checks in at 3-1 in Casey Ashley.
Yeah, and this is going to be his 10th classic, won in 2005. Let's see here.
15.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2015. Read that wrong. He's got 5 out of his last 6 events. He finished in the top 16 with, he also throw in there an 8 and an 11th place finish. Just kind of quietly since his classic win, has really had a solid streak in the Bassmaster Classics.
You mentioned the motivation of Skeet Reese. Is this the other angler that you were talking about?
Yes, it is.
At 3-1, the one, the only, fishing in his 20th classic this year.
Yeah.
Mike Iaconelli.
What can you say about this guy? And we had him on BTL last week, and I know Skeet is motivated. At least I feel like he's very, very motivated. I don't think there's anybody in this field that is more motivated to win than Mike.
You've talked to all these guys, and what is the main thing that they're saying? Fish the moment.
Yeah.
The guy coined that phrase.
Yeah. He won in 2003 on the Delta. 6 of his last 11 appearances in the Classic, he's had top 10s. 3 of the last 6 have been top 6s. He finished 38th last year in 2018. How cool would it be for him to win?
It would be awesome.
Now, I think one of your prop bets should be, if Mike Iaconelli wins, does he retire on stage?
We can add that to the prop bet.
Because I don't know. I really don't.
Wow.
I asked him that question, totally off, not on the show and anything.
Didn't know. I could see him doing something crazy.
You talk about the after party that he talked about. What do you think that after party would be like if he hoists the trophy?
Brian the Carpenter would have to get extra security. The guy who's looking to go, there's no one who's had opportunities like this except Rick Clunn and Kevin Van Dam, who have won back-to-back and even know what it's like to look for a three-peat.
I've got a new nickname for him.
Jordan Lee.
I don't think it'll stick, but I just kind of coined it. I put together a promo on their upcoming, you haven't seen it, on the upcoming one-on-one live between Jordan Lee and Gerald Swindle. Jordan Jackpot Lee. Is there anybody in the bass fishing world right now that is hotter from a performance standpoint than this guy right now?
And here's the thing. I don't think that he's hot. Like, I don't think that it's just how he is. That's just how he does. He's caught them at every single level since he picked up a rod and reel, and this is just how he performs. It's not like he's on an incredible hot streak that's going to come to an end. Yeah. It's like this is him for the next 30 years.
He's 2 for 4.
And should have been 3 for 4.
Yeah.
As the college angler.
Jordan Jackpot Lee,
fish, man. First one, yeah. And he's at 2-1, rightfully so, looking for the three-peat tied. In the what your odds are, 2-1. You have 4 guys at 2-1. The second of which is Edwin Evers fishing in his 18th Classic.
Yeah, probably the next guy behind Jordan that is off to just an incredible start to the 2019 season. He's got a win, got a second.
Leading the Bass Pro Tour point standings.
Yeah. This really sets up for his style, what he's really good at doing.
Does a lot of homework.
Very, very versatile. That's why the guy's at 2-1.
Right there with Jason Christie.
Yeah, same thing. I think Jason is motivated. Big time. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with what took place last year.
Who do you think thinks about the past 4 or 5 classics more, Jason Christie or Brent Ehrler?
Jason.
You think it's still on his mind? What happened at Grand with Edwin?
I'm
what happened at Hartwell?
From a negative standpoint?
I know, but do you think that's kind of still with him, all that? He said he's moved on. He said it's distant memory, but I mean, when you're practicing for the Classic, do you think that's crossed his mind as he's practicing? Like, it would be awesome to go out there and put all this stuff
I think
to bed.
it's a passing thought. I don't think he's consumed with it. And I think it's the same way with Alien.
Do you think that changed how those two practiced, knowing that this could be their last one for a while, that they've been so close to lifting the Classic, and now they've got one more shot?
No, I really don't.
Okay.
I don't think it had an influence. Is it a passing thought? Is it a motivating factor? Absolutely 100%. And then the last guy.
Before the favorite, this is the last one at 2-1.
Yeah, Wesley Strader.
He's good.
I mean...
he's really good.
If you want to win a little money, he's at 2-1. There's a reason. Only his third Classic this year, though.
Yeah, but he's got a zillion Forest Wood Cups.
Dude, he's got some experience, too, on this body of water.
He's fished a lot of them. He fished the same BFLs.
And back in his FLW Tour days, he had a 32nd in 2008.
Maybe a PAA or two.
Yeah, he had a 34th in 2010. He had a 28th.
He's solid.
It just... The dude's one of the favorites.
He's solid, but he is not the favorite in your Classic odds at 1-1.
Even money.
Fishing his 8th Classic, most of which he has succeeded in, although he has not won. We've had him on BTL before.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah. It's going to be his 8th Classic in the previous 7. 4 out of 7.
Who is it?
Defo. I thought you said that. I'm sorry.
No,
he is my even money favorite. 8th Classic, as I mentioned, 4 out of 7 were top 6 finishes. His worst finish out of those 7, 25th at Grand Lake in 2016. A lot of pressure on him, but I think he can handle it. I think he's absolutely 100% motivated. And are we going to see a continuing saga of the HFA?
Yep. Good job, Mark.
All right.
These will be available on Bass Zone afterwards. Send your hate mail to mark@basszone.com.
Once again, for entertainment purposes only, folks.
Let's move on to the prop bets.
All right.
I might get some hate mail on these from the organizations. Number of anglers who shed a tear on the Classic stage. Remember, there are only 12 that are in the Classic that are continuing their careers with bass at the top level. After the Classic, I have that number set at 4, Mark.
I'm taking the under. You marking this down?
Okay.
I think it's 3.
I'm taking the over.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people who've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the Bassmaster Classic. There are a lot of guys who are fishing right now because of the Bassmaster Classic. There are a lot of guys who will not be fishing for the Bassmaster Classic anymore, and as hectic and as busy as everyone and their schedule has been leading up to it, I feel like the first real moment that they will have on stage looking around at the packed house, the promo videos, the smoke, the low lights, the up next from,
that's a valid
and I
point.
think that there is going to be a number of guys who have had little emotion about this or swallowed their emotion about this, talking about how they're making a decision for their family, for their business, for their career, will realize on that Classic stage that the real reason why they are doing this and got into this and have dedicated so much to this is to win the Bassmaster Classic, and this is the last time in the foreseeable future that they will have a chance to realize the dream of their childhood. And I think you're going to see some guys who maybe have never cried on stage before get a little choked up.
I'm taking the under.
Number of smallmouth in the winner's creel out of 15 fish.
What's the number?
I have over-under set at 6.
I'll take the under.
Okay.
You marking these down, hopefully? Because I'm not.
Number of top 10 anglers who are fishing the Elite Series in 2019.
That what?
That finish in the top 10.
Oh, okay.
Out of
12?
Out of the anglers. Yeah, out of the 12. Out of Seth Fider, Micah Frazier, Cliff Perch, Chris Saldane, Brandon Lester, Jake Whitaker, Derek Hudnall, Brad Watley.
What's the number?
Pearson, Benton, Frank Talley, and Paquette. I have 2.
I'll take the under.
Okay. Winning weight over, under 40 pounds. That is
13?
13 or so a day.
I'll take the over.
Okay. Number of times, Classic MC Dave Mercer says, big bass, big stage, big dreams on day one of the Bassmaster Classic weigh-in.
Are you going to count this?
I have the over. I have the over under at 8.
Only day one, right?
Just day one.
I'll take the under.
Okay.
I think he's going to say it. I don't think he's going to say it in mass quantities.
Okay. Number of anglers who say MLF, who say Bass Pro Tour, or who mention another tour on stage over the course of
that is a great one right there.
Over
What's
the course of the 3 days.
What's the number?
I only have 3.
I'll take the over.
You think someone will say Major League Fishing on stage?
It won't be on purpose. There might be a slip.
Okay, you're taking the over.
Yeah.
We have this one every year. Number of anglers wearing a flat bill hat who finish in the top 10. You're talking a Wheeler, a Mike Iaconelli, a Brett Hite.
What's the number?
I have 2.
Oh, man, that's what I was thinking. 2.5?
No. Over under 2.
I'll take the over.
The length of the final day weigh-in. You remember, there's, I think, going to be 25.
Yeah.
You know Bass is going to roll out the red carpet. You know these guys are going to give lengthy speeches that date back to their childhood. You know they're going to thank Bass and all this stuff for the decades.
What's the over?
I got over it.
Over
under at 3 hours.
Man. Are you talking about from the time that Mercer comes out?
No, from the time I think you're going to see
the national anthem?
No, I think you're going to see the lights go down, and I think you're going to see a Bob Cobb. I think you're going to see the Ray Scott. I think you're going to see a nostalgia video of the past classic champs. I think you're going to see archive footage of these guys talking about the start from when it starts.
Oh, I'll take the over.
Okay.
Take the over on that one.
Number of promo features that Bass runs on the big screen that are about classic Bassmaster Classic history. I'm just going off of what has been going on the website and some of the stuff that I've heard behind the scenes.
Smart. They're smart to do that.
I've got the over under at 5.
Oh, I'll take the over.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going to load up on that, and I think it's smart, and I think the legacy is going to be on full display.
Last one. Number of current Elite Series anglers, so the 12 that are fishing in the Classic, that will have a Bass Live camera in their boat to start day one of Bass Live's Classic coverage.
They have 6 cameras, right?
Somewhere around there.
What's the number?
I've got the over under at 3.
Oh, dude, that's the number. That's the number.
We'll do 2.5.
I'll take the over.
Okay, so 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do halves these because in it. So I think Zaldane has one.
Do what now?
I'm thinking of current Elite Series guys who will have a camera. I think Zaldane will have one.
I agree.
I think Brandon Lester will have one.
Agree.
And I think potentially Seth Feider.
I don't think so.
No. So you think that Zaldane and Lester will have one?
Yeah.
They got to put one in the boat with Ott. He's a Bass Pro Tour guy.
Yeah.
Ott, Van Dam.
Yeah.
And then you think like a Jordan Lee or an Iaconelli? Iaconelli. No Jordan Lee. Looking for the three-peat? They don't have any?
I don't think so.
I think they do. He's a Carhartt guy.
Oh, man.
You got to have one with Jordan Lee. He's back-to-back defending champs. They might have more cameras for this, too. I'm not exactly sure how many cameras that they're going to have.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm good with that.
All right.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, man. A lot of work put into that, folks. And hopefully you get entertained and hopefully you understand that I'm going to say it. It would be massively cool to be able to walk up to a sports book in Vegas and be able to drop, $100 on Ott Defo to win at even money. bet 100 to win 95 or 92 or
but
whatever
that would be
it is.
so stupid for a fishing tournament when you talk about the win percentages, of the greatest of all time is less than 13%.
I know. I'm just calling it the cool factor, dude. It would be cool. Might happen someday. We'll see. All right, Matt, you are hitting the road tomorrow. I'm trying to think. Media Day is on Thursday.
Yeah.
The dinner night at Champions, or is that what
The
they call it?
Champions Toast.
Yeah. I think that's Wednesday night.
Who's your winner, Mark? We'll do this.
Oh, the 5 thing? And then
They're
we're
not
done?
5. Let's do your winner.
Ott Defo.
Ott Defo wins the
Yeah.
Classic. Really?
Yeah,
That is your winner.
that is my winner. And then I have a long shot.
Who's your long shot?
Andy Montgomery. That's my long shot. My sentimental winner would be Mike Iaconelli. Really pulling for him, man. All right, what about you? What do you got?
I think I picked him last year. I think Jacob Wheeler. I think he gets the Classic. The guy performs in the big time.
All right, who's your long shot?
My long shot, and I mean, there isn't really a long shot. I think the long shot for me would be Cliff Perch.
Okay.
Why not?
That's a good one. It's a good one.
In a perfect world, here's what happens, Mark. Zaldane, Skeet Reese, Jordan Lee, and Aaron Martins battle it out in the top 5 going into the final day. Think about that one.
That would be cool. Hey, Andy in Indiana, you are a smart individual. You picked up on that. I'm not going to put that out on the instant feedback, but very, very attentive, and I give you props. I'll show it to you later, Matthew. Very, very nice. All right, Gaffin, I don't know where he is. Is it Maine? Anyway, wants to know, will Chase Anderson make an appearance on stage?
He might make an appearance. I am not sure if they will let him speak, though.
I think he will, and I think he'll do a fine job.
Okay.
Right? I think it's a big deal. I mean, that is the world headquarters of Anderson Media.
Right.
They're in Knoxville, and I think they're going all out. Jake in Ohio, smart man. They're picking up on it, man. Our longtime loyal listeners are picking up. You haven't picked it up yet, have you? On my long shot pick.
Who was your long shot pick?
Andy Montgomery.
Haven't.
They're picking up on it. Oh, it's Massachusetts. I'm sorry, dude. I'm an idiot. The abbreviation caught me.
Yeah, I'm not picking up. Is there something?
Yes. Think about when we had Ott on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey in Tennessee picked up on it too.
What am I missing?
You're missing it.
On why your long shot pick is Andy Montgomery? Something that Ott said?
Yeah.
Why can't you
Can't
say
figure
it?
it. I'm not going to say it, but
Will you tell me after the show?
Huh?
Will fans, though, if they go back and listen to the Ott interview?
Well, yeah, dude, they have brilliant minds. They
I guess my
retain
mind is
what they're hearing.
My mind is fried, Mark.
Oh, jeez. They're all saying, "Don't tell him, don't tell him." Even Gaff knows. They all know. Jeez.
Because he's staying with Ott?
There you have it.
I guess that would probably help a little bit.
Oh, Matthew. All right, that's going to wrap things up. Good show coming tomorrow. I know it's Classic Week, but we're going to have Bradley Holloman in studio tomorrow and maybe get Brian Latimer on too, just for a few minutes. Great stuff, man. Really, really excited about this week in Knoxville. And dude, it's going to be one of my most memorable classics. With everything that's going on, it's just Very, very excited. We're staying where everybody else is staying, where the anglers are staying. It's going to be a cool vibe. Very excited, man.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right, everybody. Tomorrow, same time, and a best of show on Wednesday. All right, don't forget, March 20th, Jordan Jackpot Lee going up against Gerald Swindle live on Lake Guntersville. Can't wait. Now, if either one of those guys win, we might have to do a little adjusting, my friend.
There's a lot of anglers around that area.
we can figure something out.
We can plug someone else in.
All right, everybody, be safe. Back tomorrow. We're out of here.